Chapter 17 and verse 1, and there came one of the angels which had the 7 vials. Now this is key information here. Where this is coming from is one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials. And I believe it to be the 5th angel, and I'll explain momentarily. And talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And as we're about to find out, the waters are symbolic of people, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. What is this symbolic of, this wine of fornication? It's worshiping the devil, as opposed to taking communion to the true Christ. They're worshiping Satan, the Antichrist, and they're no longer part of the many-membered body of the true Christ, but the many-membered body of the Antichrist, the whore of Babylon. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones. Count those stones, weren't smooth over a long period of time. And remember that there are natural branches to this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is Satan, this beast we're reading of here, as well as those grafted in, and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And this is, of course, speaking of the virgin bride of Christ, for the most part, ceasing to be a virgin, but being with child and giving suck, as Christ said in Matthew chapter 24, being impregnated in her mind with Satan's deception, the mark of the beast. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon, which means confusion, the great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. Again, all the righteous blood falls upon the generation of vipers and their co-religionists, because if you so much as wish them Godspeed, you become a partaker of their evil deeds. So we have here the many-membered body of the Antichrist, including many former Christians, because if you begin to worship the devil, you're no longer a Christian, you're a Satan worshiper. And when I saw her, I wondered with great wonder, this should say, not admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Now Satan was in the first world age, and we read of it in chapter 12, that he had 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads back then. That was his power structure back then. So the beast that thou sawest was, and is not, because he's in heaven at this time. He has yet to be cast out of heaven by Michael and his angels, and his angels will be cast out with him. Satan's angels will be cast out with Satan unto the earth at the woe of the 5th trumpet, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit after the 1,000 years are finished, is when he ascends out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition, and he will be cast into the lake of fire, as promised in Ezekiel 28. Turned to ashes from within, a fire shall come forth from the midst of him, and never shall he be any more, blotted out of existence forever and ever, after the 1,000 years are finished. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is, whenever they see the abomination of desolation stand in Jerusalem. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, nations, or dominions. The entire world is what we're talking about here. A one-world political system that's wounded to death, and then a one-world religious system emerges whenever Satan appears, whenever they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings. Remember back to chapter 12, those 7 crowns written of there. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Now the one that is not yet come is Antichrist. But again, remember from the last chapter that Satan has three offices, an unholy trinity: the dragon, the false prophet, and the beast. So the five that are fallen here are the beast, the political system, and the four hidden dynasties. So the time frame here is just after the fifth vial, the deadly wound, has been poured out upon the seat of the beast. So five are fallen. And remember what we learned from the trumpets. The first four trumpets were the four hidden dynasties, and at the woe of the fifth trumpet, the political system emerged. So five are fallen, being wounded to death, as we read of in chapter 13, and one is, that would be the dragon, Satan himself, and the other is not yet come. So this is looking at that window of time between the deadly wound and Satan's appearance in Jerusalem as the false Christ. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space, a half an hour, 2.5 months. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. After the 1,000 years are finished, he's cast into the lake of fire. He's the son of perdition, the only one sentenced to perish by name. And again, you can read of it in Ezekiel chapter 28. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, 10 fallen angel kings that are cast out of heaven unto the earth with Satan, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast, the hour of temptation. Both the political and the religious systems are ran by these 10 horns. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And this word strength, if you look it up in your Strong's Concordance, you'll see that word magistrate there. Jurisdiction. That's what they give to the beast, that is to say Satan, whenever he appears as the false Christ, because they're his 10 fallen angel kings. Going all the way back to the first world age they were. So you'll have all 7 again whenever the 4 angels are loosed from the Euphrates. Remember I said they were symbolic of the 4 horsemen, which are symbolic of the 4 hidden dynasties. So you have a resurrection, so to speak, of the 4 hidden dynasties, symbolized by the 4 angels loose from the Euphrates. And that's when the seals, trumpets, and vials take on their ultimate spiritual fulfillment. So there's 4, the 4 hidden dynasties, the 4 angels loose from the Euphrates, who symbolize those 4 hidden dynasties. And so then 4 plus 3 is 7. What's the 3? Satan's unholy trinity, his 3 offices, his cheap fabric imitation of our Father's 3 offices: the dragon, the false prophet, his role of Antichrist, and the beast. Verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called, because they're the election, and chosen and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. That's what the waters symbolize. And that's what that first beast rises up out of, is the sea. The second beast rises up out of the earth. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, with that fire and smoke and brimstone which issues out of their mouths. Whenever the desolator appears, and she ceases to be a virgin bride, but becomes a naked whore, because she'll lose credit for all her righteous acts and be made naked. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, Babylon, which means confusion, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So there you have it. It's God's will, because it's a test to see who loved God enough to study his word chapter by chapter, verse by verse, and obtain that seal of God in their forehead, and who had better things to do. So that's what it boils down to. Either you love your heavenly Father or you don't.